I can't do the introduction. I'm not an introducer. Some people are born to introduce, and some people are born to be introduced.
On that note, Paul, do you want to do it or should I?
I'm kind of in the Dick camp. I'm more of a born to be introduced person.
Welcome to the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show, starring Nick, Dick, and Paul. There you go.
Yeah.
See, I'm clearly born to introduce.
Yeah.
You're Nick Bilton.
You're Dick Costolo.
I was Paul Kedrosky.
Yeah.
Until he was replaced by an AI.
No,
Paul
it's because
Kedrosky.
every time you send me anything, it does the voice to text, and I'm Paul Kedrosky.
I actually do realize that I do say Pole.
You basically say Pole.
It's my British accent. I can't help it.
Okay,
The
can we
British
just say
Pole.
something?
Pole.
Where were you born?
England.
All right.
Wow.
What were you going to say? What was your
I don't ever
grand-
come back to that.
That was a tremendous gotcha, though.
Yeah, it was good one. Good one. All right.
That was the Nick, Dick, and Paul
You know what?
show.
I'm going to let that slide.
This time.
This time. And when I was at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival many years ago, I was watching this British comic, and he got on stage in Edinburgh, Scotland, and said, "It's great to be here in Scotland," or as we call it in England, England.
Well, that'd go over huge.
Talk about way to ingratiate yourself with the crowd,
Instantly,
and yet funny.
yeah, instant engagement.
We are going to talk this week about
Even
AI.
talk.
AI.
Sorry.
What? Talk?
No, it sounds like drug talk. Toke.
Tuna.
Toke.
Tuna. Tomato. Tomato.
Sorry.
No, I was born in England, like legitimately born
Okay,
there.
I get it.
Came out
You
of
only
a
have to
womb
say
in
it
England.
once.
I heard it almost a minute ago.
Yeah.
But I did notice somebody was before they were asking something, and I said, "Yeah, I'm just going to give Pole a coffee."
You also say a coffee, which is very British. But how long did you live in England?
Yeah, this does feel like a bit of a put on.
Yeah. Let's just now we're going to go there.
All right.
Drill
How
down.
long did you live in England?
I lived in England till I was 13 years old.
Yeah. And
then
did you ask for a coffee before you were 13? Because it seems like an adult.
It was a tea.
All right, fair. That's fair.
And
And you spoke regularly while there.
I had a British accent to talk like that from up north in England. Aye. It's true. I really did. From
All right.
Yorkshire.
Okay.
And then so I moved to America, and I would go back and forth, and some words like pole
Apparently.
Are still British.
it's still British.
All right. Look, 13 is perfectly respectable time to have developed a strong accent. I'm sorted.
Good.
It's all good.
Should we talk about AI?
Please.
I have a theory.
Okay.
Okay, it's called the race to the middle.
Okay.
So I believe that
Is this your theory?
made it up.
Okay.
Patenting it.
Fair.
I believe that I've been using AI a lot in my writing and creative endeavors. And
Do you admit that when you are asked to sign your checks?
That's right.
Checks from the studio that you're writing for?
Yeah.
Or is this just
GPT-0.
no, it's not like it doesn't. I don't let it write for me. I have it help me. So it's like a assistant. I kind of liken it as I have this assistant who has watched every movie and read every book and seen every TV show, and his or her ideas are sometimes okay and sometimes good. Most of the time, they come into work drunk after smoking crack, because the creative ideas are mostly terrible.
Yeah.
However, I do have a realization that I've had doing this, that the reason for that is because it is drawing from the well of utter garbage that exists in the history of all content,
media.
all media. So
Yeah. So the average media is not
garbage.
the best media.
Correct. So what I have found, actually, thanks to Paul over there, is that so he sent me one of his prompts for something. I don't know, how to make $1 billion in 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was that half of the prompt is telling it what not to do. So don't do this, don't do that. It's like a dog. It's like don't pee on the couch, don't do this, don't eat that. But you can go outside. And so now that I give it the parameters of like these are the kinds of things that I'm trying to attain to, it actually comes up with better ideas. But it's not all great. It's a lot of cheesy stuff. But anyway, so what I've been realizing is it allows me to work quicker. It helps me with things that are that would have taken me a long period of time before that are not creative, that are just, so for example, when you're writing a script, right, you have these action lines that tell you.
Let's use the actual script you've written just now. The one you've just finished.
The one I've just finished, which is a Scorsese script about the Hawaiian mob. So, for example,
it's actually a Nick Bilton script for a Scorsese movie about the mob. I mean, just let's not sell yourself short. It's not a Scorsese
It is
script.
a weird thing to say out loud, but yes, that is correct. But for example, in that you could be like, the mobster's name was Nappy Palava. So, Nappy is on a beach and he's with some other guys and they're carrying guns and you set up this you set the action line for what's happening. And in screenwriting, you never want the action line to be longer than 3 lines. And pre-AI, you would write an action line that was like 3 lines and 2 words. Mm-hmm. So it was 4 lines. And it would take me forever to try to get. And now I just say, make this 3 lines. And it's like literally, it's cut weeks and weeks out of work for that.
Okay, that's totally fair. And I get where you're going with this. Let me ask you a more important question.
Yeah.
Why can an action line only be 3 lines? Who said that?
Well, so
I mean, if your answer is Scorsese, then okay,
no,
fair enough.
So a page of a script is 1 minute of film,
okay,
right? And so some genius before we came along figured out that in Courier, 18 points or whatever it is, 1 page equals 1 minute. And when you are reading a script, I don't know the psychology of it. Maybe you do, Paul. I have no idea, but.
I see where this is going. If you get to like page 30, you're like, I'm at 30-minute point.
Correct. Exactly.
And everybody knows that.
Everyone knows that.
The unspoken understanding is, and if your action lines are 5 lines, then everything's thrown off.
Everything's thrown off. And when you're reading a script, you are visualizing everything because it's a blueprint. You're not reading a novel. It's not like telling you how to think. And so what ends up happening is your brain, for some reason, when you're reading, you are imagining everything. It's really fascinating when you read a script. Your brain literally imagines the movie in your head.
Yeah, but that's because it says that. Like the camera pans back to reveal a blue flower. So you, of course, think of a camera panning back to reveal a blue flower.
But the amount of time
you're saying it, though, like as if the way it's written. It's that it says,
if it's an emergent
please
property.
imagine this visually. Yeah. Basically, it's constantly
but it takes a minute for each page. Anyway, for some reason, 3 lines is what you get for an action line.
All right. So there you go. That was good. I'm glad I asked.
So what I've realized is I've seen other people using AI and for creative endeavors. And what I've realized is that there are only really, there's an old saying, I think it's Gene Wilder that said it, there are 12 good screenwriters in Hollywood. And I actually believe that is true. I really don't believe that there are many good screenwriters. Okay. Because it's a really hard medium. I don't think there are many good novelists. I just think it's like it's such a rare thing. So for those people, if they were to use it, they're obviously going to be able to do it better and quicker and maybe more creative. But for everyone else, if you're garbage at what you do in the creative industry, you will probably become mediocre thanks to the AI.
I see what you're saying.
And if you're mediocre, you're going to remain mediocre.
Right.
And so
Why, if you're mediocre, do you remain mediocre?
Because I don't think
the AI is just going to make everything middling.
I see.
It's not going to make anything spectacularly better than anything else. Actually, there's a good cooking analogy for this because I only use AI for cooking. And I'll say like, hey, I've got a pear, a pickle, and a donut.
You say a bear, a pickle, and a donut?
Sure.
Okay.
I said a pear, a pickle, and a donut. What can I make?
Yeah.
Hold on. Can you actually make something with a pear, pickle, and a donut?
Don't worry about it. If I can't reveal all my cooking secrets to you. Right. So it's good at giving you like a recipe for something. Oh, you could make, I've got salmon, asparagus. Like, sure, put the salmon in the oven for 350 and blanch the asparagus. You get a nicer version of like a, like a meal you'd get from the Whole Foods hot section or something, or whatever. Pick your favorite grocery store. It's like,
yeah.
But you're not going to get like, I don't know, you're not going to get Chris Bianco's make this particular pasta lasagna this way. Evan, you're not going to get Evan Funky. Here's a 9-hour lasagna that you can make with these ingredients that'll be out of this world. It's just kind of all averagey good stuff. It's not bad. It gives you the, cook it for this long.
Yeah.
Don't overheat.
Do you think that?
So I get the race to the middle. It's. I think I buy that. Is that your argument? I think that's your.
My argument is that I think in the future that while humans still have jobs, especially I'm just talking about creativity, and I'm sure it applies to everything, but in the world that I live in, I think while humans still have jobs, it will be a race to the middle, and then eventually the head gets lobbed off, and the 12 people who are really good will be employed, and everyone else is fucked.
I buy that. It's kind of the same thing with code. Coding tools are good, but they write too much code. They write tons and tons of code that you now have to go.
They produce way too much stuff. Yeah. I don't think I buy any of that.
You don't buy anything I said.
All right, good.
No, I don't think so.
Now it's on. All right, gloves are off.
I just was trying to think whether
I didn't think you were going to do that.
I thought he was just going to be like, yeah, I totally agree, Nick. You're a genius.
No, I wouldn't have said that either. I appreciate the prompting. No, I used to think that way about this stuff.
By the way, wait a minute. That's the best possible.
I've evolved.
Yeah. This is like
before I was beneath you.
This is the intellectual version of mansplaining. I used to think that way.
But then
when I was 14,
right,
and hadn't read all the books I've now. Anyway, please continue. I'll be quiet.
No. It's exactly right.
No, I want to hear why you disagree.
Okay, so if you go. One of my main complaints about the current versions of AI in terms of how people use them, so large language models being the example, OpenAI's ChatGPT is a large language model, is that these things are basically solving giant statistical matrices to produce text, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing what's called token prediction. So they predict based on this giant set of training, which is like the entire internet, or as I like to joke all the time, it's like a 37-year-old on Reddit who is sort of what they're most likely to say next. And so when you do that, when you solve the matrix and generate the next most likely token, which is what these large language models are doing, by definition, you're going to produce something that's statistically fairly predictable because it is the thing that falls out of the prediction, right? So it's going to be a race to the middle in that sense. But I think that's only a temporary phenomenon for two reasons. One is that the training sets are changing really quickly. More and more of them are generated artificially, not just from training on the internet, but the production of entirely new data sets that are actually produced by models and other things. So we can introduce more randomness, they call it more stochastics into it by these new trainings.
Stochastics?
Yeah.
What's a
randomness?
Oh. Okay. All right, thesaurus. Keep going.
All right. So you can introduce more randomness in. So I think
You don't know the word stochastics?
Don't know the word. Did you know the word stochastics?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Get with the program.
No, you did not. When have you used stochastic in a sentence?
That was
just yesterday.
That was my Coachella band, by the way. Was the stochastic.
Can you give me the sentence that you used?
Yeah. I ordered a Caesar salad and it came. I was expecting
more stochastics with this. Yeah, see? It works in that context. So,
there's no randomness in a Caesar salad.
You've clearly never had a Caesar salad.
What? What are you talking about? There's big croutons. There's no croutons. There's anchovies. Could be bacon. Could be bacon bits.
All
if
right,
it's a particularly cheesy. Could be Parmigiano. Could be just that powdery stuff.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Basically, Caesar salad was the etymology of the word stochastics. It started.
It was patient zero.
It was zero for many words, including stochastics.
Right. Where was I going? Oh, so that was just an artifact of how this all started, and that's going to change. One, because the training sets are changing, so we can reintroduce lots of different into more randomness into the training sets, which will turn into different predictions. But the other one is when you're actually generating tokens in a large language model, there's a setting that no one plays with, and
which
is the heat, the temperature. And that's literally, you can tell it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about here? I
didn't know this.
I'm leaning into this.
You can change the amount of randomness in the response. So how likely it produces something from the center of the continuum or from the edges. So if you want something more unusual, like I got a bear, a pear, and something else.
Yeah. You really?
And a donut.
What do you do? Turn up the heat?
Yeah, turn up the heat, which increases the...
Do you really say turn up the heat?
Yeah.
No, it's a setting. But you can actually change the randomness of the production of the next token as opposed to saying, give me the dead fucking center of the continuum. right? I can say, give me something further out in the tails, which is what you're saying. So the idea that people are generating or racing towards some mediocre is only because of the way we use this nonsense, right? So there's two different things going on. One is the training sets are changing, so you're going to have much different results. The other is you basically asked it to give you the middle, and it gave you the middle, and then you complained about it.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not
idiot.
I'm not saying it gives me the middle. It gives me better than the middle.
no.
But hold on, I have two questions. One is it actually goes back to Dick's comment about the bear, the pear, and the donut. Okay, and
I'm going to start turning up the heat. I am.
I can feel
the
it coming.
question I was going to ask is: do you believe that if you asked an AI to, it could actually make you a completely new recipe? That
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. But it's not going to be like something that James.
So okay, but
Keller,
that's a different question, right? That's saying. So
but you're saying that the
you can sample from a much wider distribution and get crazier outcomes anytime you want to. That we don't is on us, not on the models. The models are perfectly capable of doing that. It's just that people choose not to do it because people don't know how to even operate their like air conditioning in their car. So it's no surprise they can't operate.
How do you operate the air conditioning in the car?
The touch screens drive me crazy.
Anyway.
So the point being though that capability is there and it's going to become much more obvious in future. So that,
can you give me an
problem
example of how this would work in like?
So let's say I'm using OpenAI as a in code. I've got a screenwriting tool, and what it does is it hits OpenAI via what's called the application interface, right?
The
API.
Yeah.
See, I was
See, Dick?
the API. Yeah. So it hits it. One of the things I can tell it is the temperature that I'd like it to use in terms of sampling from the model in generating the next token. How much randomness, how much sampling of the tails I actually want. That's perfectly capable. You can do that right now if I was generating it.
Do I just say give it heat?
Well, it's a number actually, but yes.
And then it will result in what?
Wild randomness depending on much more heat you introduce.
But is it going to be gibberish like, here's a recipe for a bear, a pear, and a donut? Or is it going to be logical?
Well, it'll be as logical as what it could find in the training set in the sense that like if it was somewhere in the tails of what it's seen. So if it's never seen anything like that before, it's not going to produce anything like that because it wasn't in the training set. But it can mash up stuff from the tails of the distribution much more if you increase the heat. So this idea that there's a race to the middle is I just think completely wrong-headed. It's like saying it's the only way I can produce it is the way, and that's because of the way I use the tool. You're
just saying that the race to the middle is the default.
It's the default setting.
And you can change the defaults.
Change the defaults, you get a different outcome.
But then do you think that the majority of people
But not just that. Obviously, you're going to change the training data too, but both ways, right?
Yeah.
So.
But do you think that the majority of people who don't know how to operate their air conditioning are going to try to look on the edges? No, because they're not going to be able to identify what is good and new.
We're in this really early stage of using these tools, and they're still set up for this very centralized way of using it. That I chat with it. I called it the original sin of ChatGPT, which is that it was set up to be a fluent conversational tool. And as like gregarious apes, we like to chat all the time. We're perfectly happy to chat away with it, and we really like when it gives us stuff that we expected, because it makes us feel familiar and comfortable.
Yeah.
That's just an artifact of engagement that OpenAI has created to make it feel more like this is just someone I know and who knows me well.
But it can't. But isn't the whole argument that an LLM cannot come up with a new idea right now? It's like it's very difficult for it to.
But this goes back to some like sort of deep philosophical questions about what ideas are. What is it? What does a good screenwriter do? Well, they know the rules and break them. Can an LLM know the rules and break them? Every fucking day. We just have it right now that you've set it up so that it's not doing that because it's sampling from the center of the distribution. Once you tell it not to do that, then it's not going to do that. And if you have it sample even more extreme using higher heat, you're going to get completely different responses. I just think it's just an artifact of how our usage has developed. It's nothing to do with the models.
I can't wait to go use this for my next recipe. I'm going to be like, I have some pasta noodles, some tomatoes, and some Parmigiano. And I'm going to have a heat index of 10.
Let it go.
I'm just going to say 10.
Let fly.
In my mind, it's 1 to 10.
It's going to tell you to eat the pasta raw.
Yeah, right.
It's going to say, first of all, don't ever fucking ask me a question again like that.
Don't give the bear porcelain.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, anyway. No, I'm going to go use this and see what it comes up with.
But it goes back to this idea that I think people fundamentally don't understand the tool that they're using. And that that's fine because we don't need to understand most tools that we use.
Okay, but
it turns out that one of the complaints you have about the tool is largely just driven by not understanding that it's sampling from a distribution.
But I still don't. I think you're making the same point I'm making, which is that
there's not a chance that's happening. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
I love how he used the word wrongheaded.
Yeah.
How many times have you said that to your kids?
I use it every time I use the word stochastic.
What time is it? At least twice today.
That is the most wrong-headed use of the word stochastic I've ever heard.
That's right. Not even Caesar salad.
I think creativity.
I don't even like where this is going. All right.
Creativity.
Here's the deal. You are a creative person,
That's right.
so you think this thing, and this isn't. Listen, what I'm about to say isn't meant to belittle you.
No, it's okay.
No.
Belittle away.
Do the belittle version.
You think, listen, I mean,
I don't.
not any schmo could have come up with this way of writing this thing that I've come up with. I am super creative.
No, I think that
I just think and what it really is an amalgamation in your brain of a bunch of stuff that you've seen and read that you're now moving around.
And you've said this to me before, that a lot of what is creative about any kind of art is about knowing the rules and breaking them. That you're able to selectively decide, this should, at this point, people are expecting X, I'm going to do Y. There's a rule that normally, everything that's seen in a movie eventually has a role. Well, I'm going to have a bunch of things in the movie that don't have a rule. These are all just rules. And as a matter of fact, these are the things that models are unbelievably good at because they're great at detecting tacit rules that we couldn't even say in the past.
Okay, here's my thought on creativity is two things. One is when like Cormac McCarthy, I am obsessed with. I've read all his books and I've read and I've watched all of his videos. Some of them are really painful to watch because he really doesn't like doing interviews. But one thing that he does say repeatedly is he says, I don't do the writing just comes out of me. He's like the subconscious. He always talks about the subconscious and about how he has this theory that there may be like a group of little people in there like that are in your brain and they're having a meeting and they decide what comes out. And I remember seeing an interview with Chris Martin from Coldplay and he was like, I was working on this thing and this song came to me from wherever songs come from. And he doesn't describe that he's just the vessel.
Yep.
And I think that I do truly believe that creativity is subconscious. And I think that, and it's why I don't use LLMs when I'm writing books, because I don't want that. I want to be able to kind of, whatever is going to flow through. And I think that what creativity is something that's slightly right or whatever direction than something we've ever seen before. And if you go too far over, it's like interpretive dance and you're like, what the fuck is that? But I think that it's taste. It's not necessarily the creation of it. And I don't understand how an LLM can define what the taste is. It still has to be a creative person that does that. And someone who is mediocre will never be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't buy any of that.
You don't?
No. I mean, that's
classic
motivated reasoning, much like what Dick was saying earlier, that I need to believe these things because they make me feel better.
I don't care if I don't have a job. It's not about me. I'm just saying
but it's also about someone who, as part of the world you live in, you're surrounded by creative people and you look for explanations for how they do what they do. This is all natural, right? Like no different than we've talked about tennis players and how they do what they do, creative people and how they do what they do, and the forces that make them better and the forces that make them worse. I wish it was the way you're describing it. There was something, little voices and some kind of tacit thing going on. And I think it's mostly just, and this you see this all the time in the psychology literature, is that we just don't have access to our internal processes. We don't know what the hell's going on in our heads most of the time. And so if you want to call it a little voice, that's fine. But that adding that extra layer of mysticism doesn't change anything.
No, I'm not. It's not about the mysticism. I'm saying that
Nick is saying, let me see if I can do this.
To see if Dick can translate for me.
Nick is saying that as the words flow out of him as he's writing a script, for example, the script that he's writing that Martin Scorsese is going to direct. I'm going to say that every time.
You should do it about you and a joke. When you know something is going to be funny.
I just know it. See, you know what? I was afraid you were going to ask that. And the reason I was afraid you were going to ask that is because my answer is the Cormac McCarthy answer. Like, I just know.
You just know.
It comes to me and I know this is going to land.
But there are things that come to you and you're like, that's not going to land.
Correct.
And my argument is.
Okay, fair. I get where you're going. All right. Thank you. This is good.
Keep going.
Wait, hold on.
Let's hear Dick.
Okay.
So what Nick is saying is, I understand the words that are coming, and then I am the thing I'm really, really good at is making a judgment about whether this is worthwhile or not. That's what he's saying about taste. Meanwhile, the LLM doesn't understand the words that it's using and can't make a judgment about, this joke is a better version of this joke.
Bingo.
You would argue, look, this is great. You guys don't have to talk. I'm just going to go back and forth for an hour and go. And now what Paul thinks.
That's right. Go ahead and just feel free to expand upon what I think.
Can you argue that
I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
No, let's just hear Dick. Let's just hear Dick explain whatever else is gonna say.
And I'll do what you do. That's right. It's like cross-dressing, but intellectually. No, so this for me is back this idea of, in the early days of large language models, there was this notion of emergent behaviors. So the idea was we trained it on data sets that contained this and this and this and this, right? I don't know, grammar and math and something else. And suddenly it learned how to speak French. It's like, what the fuck? We never taught it how to speak French. It was what was called an emergent property that emerged in the process of training. So what it turns out is that many of the things that we think we know that require some deep knowledge are actually just an emergent property of being exposed. So math was an emergent property in large language models. No one trained them on math. And if you look at how they do math, so like if you ask a large language model to add up a bunch of numbers, it's not doing math like any kind of math you've ever seen. Like, so if you actually look under the hood, and you can look at how the neurons are interacting with each other, it's this deranged version of math that gets to the same answer. So the point being that the way that we do it is the way that we do it, but you can get to the same place from these models as an emergent property that may look nothing like what you expect, not like how Dick thinks of a joke, not like how you think of a screenplay, but the result will be very similar because these are just emergent properties from large enough amounts of language, especially when you adjust the temperature and you introduce more randomness.
I thought what you were going to say is...
I like your version. Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Is you just can't articulate when something hits you that you know it's funny, and when something hits you, you're like,
there's an element of that too, right? It's not having access to your own mental states.
You
right?
That's what we don't have access to our mental states. It's going through similar, throwing 19 things in there. One pops to the top of the stack, and you're like, yeah, that's great.
Right, and it feels right. It feels like that joke's going to hit, or it feels like this is the right way.
Which is some not dissimilar version to what's going on in the emergent
But just that you
behavior.
can't articulate it doesn't make it anything other than what it is.
Right, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, but again, that's kind of an emergent property. This is something that emerged from the complexity of human brains doing human brain things.
And so it's these are emergent properties from LLMs doing LLM things.
Right. It's not materially different in any way.
But how can an LLM get to a point where it can decide that joke's going to be funny and that one's not? Or is it just guessing based on the things it's seen before?
Okay, so it's not guessing. It's back to this matrix algebra problem. So it's actually creating a distribution of things that seems like, given those tokens, this token coming afterwards would be, quote, what humans call funny, right? So it's an artificial life form trying to guess what we might call funny. And it turns out that that's a very accurate way of doing things, because most of the time what we do is a kind of mimicry, right? I heard someone do a joke like this about Sam Altman and Dennis's house go into a bar and everything, and I can turn that into a joke because that we can scaffold. That's a scaffold.
Keep going. I want to hear this joke.
Remember that joke's going.
No, that's not. Never mind.
But so this idea that these are all just scaffoldings on top of which you build things, no different than a screenplay, no different than a joke. And so the unfortunate thing is these scaffolds are really easily built upon, especially when you add some randomness. Is most of it going to miss? Yeah, sure, but most jokes miss. Most screenplays are shit. So that's not an argument against the idea that we wouldn't call much of what gets produced creative. And so the notion that it's a race to mediocrity is just a misunderstanding then. Or a race to the middle, or whatever.
Did he just call me stupid? I think he did.
I think he called you mediocre.
I always like the line. I always like the line that in academic debates, it's a race to figure out the best way of saying, "Does my honorable opponent realize his head is up his ass?" Right, sort of like that, right? So it's like, oh wait, did he just call me an asshole?
So do you think that in the future, no creative people have a job? There's no reason for us to have a.
I think it becomes artisanal, right? Where it's artisanal, like it's people.
Wait, whoa. Are there? Do you say two different words?
Yeah, because
it's artisanal.
It's artisanal.
Well, you said artisanal.
Well, that's just the other version that I use.
You said that first though, and I was like, wait, have I been pronouncing this wrong the whole time?
I thought there were two versions of the
not
same
pinch
word.
on, though.
It's artisanal, right?
It's artisanal.
Okay, we can keep going.
But we can use Paul's
But
version.
the Greeks did it completely differently, though.
Of course.
But wait, keep going with your
I made that up.
artisanal.
I have no idea. No, but it doesn't mean that we won't gravitate towards having humans do things any more than I would probably prefer to have a human give me a massage than a robot pound me. I don't know, but there's that doesn't change.
I don't know.
anything.
I think the robot masseuses are going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I saw a demo of a robot
did you really?
masseuse.
You did?
Yeah.
How was it?
Robot Masseuse is the name of my OnlyFans account, by the way. You should subscribe.
And Coachella.
It's my DJ name and my OnlyFans account.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
I should have one of those. So no, I think that.
Wait, hold on, real quick. The masseuse, was it like
The robot masseuse?
Was it like arms?
It's
What
like,
was it?
yeah, it's like arms. You get in a bodysuit so it knows where, it can see. The bodysuit's got
With sensors.
thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I was like touching my shoulders. I was like, that's not going to really work on the
I thought you were about
translate
to
to
do
the audience.
YMCA was coming.
Bodysuit has sensors, and the robot, he knows where to go, and you can tell it,
I feel like this
deep
is a
tissue or
this feels like
whatever.
a mashup
It's
with your
good.
OnlyFans.
And then you don't have and then you don't have masseuse wasn't that good. You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
It's the robot.
I'm still depressed that I'm not going to have a job, but all right, keep going.
So here's my Paul's 30,000-foot argument for what's really going on.
Yeah.
There's a great book from the 70s, I think, by the evolutionary biologist Stephen Jay Gould. So
Yep.
Gould was really a terrific, interesting thinker about cultural evolution as well as biological evolution. And he had this book where he was trying to answer the question, where did the 400 hitters go in baseball?
Yeah.
That was the premise in the book, which was really an interesting thing, that for a long time in the history of baseball, there were all these people, Ted Williams and others, who hit over 400.
Right.
And it wasn't like baseball was shit, but yet,
Can I ask
you
you a
seriously
question?
going to have a question this earlier?
I don't know. What does that mean to hit a 400?
Oh, sorry. So a 400 hitter is someone who gets a hit instead of an out 4 out of every 10 at bats.
And that's good.
It's they bat 40%, and it's world class good.
World
Got
class
it.
good.
What
Anything
do
over
normal people get?
250 is sort of you hit one out of every 4 times you get a hit is a 250
normal pro
batter.
people.
And
This
so
is pro people.
just so 400 is good. Do people now get better than 400?
That's the point. Is 400 hitters have disappeared. They no longer exist. So
Why?
we train people.
In fact, now 300. There are far less 300 hitters.
300 hitters than there were.
But keep going.
So this idea that despite athletes getting better, we have more training, we have better nutrition, people are stronger, they play more. 400 hitters disappeared from baseball, which is and now 300 hitters are increasingly disappearing from baseball. And so the question is wait a minute, I was told that we were getting better at everything and the training is better, and yet in this great world, call it like this sort of cultural, biological world of baseball, all the 400 hitters are disappearing. So what's happened to them? So that was Gould's question. It was what happened. And he came up with a parallel to...
people throwing harder?
No. He came up to this... It was a parallel to what happens in
Do you know any sport?
I'm terrible.
What's
Literally.
a sport that we can refer to in the future where you have some inkling of what's going on? Tennis, you
What's
were
your
like
touchstone?
Tennis, you were like, wait, the courts,
the balls aren't square?
I literally, I cannot, I can't, I can't throw a ball. I can't catch a ball. I don't think there's soccer. But I don't know the team, the names of what the players do. I know I can kick a soccer ball, but I can't describe. I know there's a goalie, and that's
So
it.
your task before the next podcast is to learn a sport.
I can't.
Just
just no
watch
interest.
one.
Just no interest.
Watch racing, auto racing. Come back to
Okay.
us.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, auto racing. That's more that's probably your style. You got cars.
I like mountain biking.
cars.
Can I?
Yes, you can do mountain biking.
I like mountain biking.
Great.
Okay, we'll talk
All right,
about mountain biking.
we'll use those references. Anyway, keep going.
So what happened to them? The short answer is that as everyone got better, both pitchers and hitters got better, the distribution got compressed.
Right.
So what happened was the mean of the distribution shifted slightly, but the tails came in. So we used to have a much wider distribution of outcomes in baseball because there was an incredible disparity in terms of how long people had been playing and how good they were and what kind of training they got. They all ended up in pro baseball, but you had these outliers who could hit 400. As the distribution moved from it's called like a T distribution to a normal distribution, it came in. The tails start to become flatter and less fat. And so these anomalies out here disappeared.
Those are the 400s.
The 400 hitters disappeared because the distribution became tighter as the level. It was actually an art. This is the puzzling part, or I guess the mystery was that it actually became better, or disappeared because people became better. It didn't disappear because people became worse. It disappeared because everyone became better.
Okay, so as a layperson listening to this podcast, layperson is the name of my other OnlyFans, my backup OnlyFans account.
Yeah.
As a layperson listening to this podcast, what I'm hearing you is I'm also thinking, wait, you're arguing for reversion to the mean, race to the middle.
Right.
You're actually now making Nick's point.
I was about to
that
say
as
the same
there's
thing.
more and more and more of this, and the LMs get better and better and better, it will be race to the middle.
Right, but the sports and token generation are completely different things. So sports.
Well, in your mind.
Yeah, that's true. In my mind. So in my mind, they're very different things. So in this context, what's happened is the distributions come in, the tails have disappeared because there's no incentive anymore for someone to be, an outlier, because what's happened is not an incentive, but there's no way of producing those outliers uniformly because everyone gets the same training and everything else. But the overall quality of baseball, if you watch baseball from the 20s and 30s and baseball today, it's like watching track athletes out there. They're sprinting around, they're faster, they hit further.
In the olden days.
Now,
got it.
So instead of 400 hitters disappearing being a sign of baseball getting worse, it's a sign of baseball getting better.
Right.
Which is a complete sort of reversal from the way people might have historically thought about it. And so I think we're going to see something similar going on in cultural evolution now, where you're seeing everything will get better, and the edge players will all disappear. Right. So it's like the full house idea, but in cultural evolutionary terms. So it's not that things get mediocre. It's that everything gets uniformly better and cheaper and faster, but the edges disappear because how would these people exist outside the distribution? It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for them to exist more than 400 hitters.
Okay, so I think I know what you're going to say next, but if you then start to say, okay, how does that translate into the future of jobs and the future of work? I think what you'll say is, so long, sucker. Like, irrespective of the, what Nick was arguing for earlier is there's always going to be a job for the 12 best screenwriters because they're so much better than anything AI.
But
can
you're
ever
saying
produce.
that they're going to disappear.
What you're saying, I think, is everybody is out of work because the average response from AI is just going to get better and better and better with more and more and more and more.
I'll turn it around, though. I'll look at it from a consumer standpoint. It's going to be so much better than good enough at such low cost that it's like, I don't care that those outliers exist.
Right.
It's like telling me there's someone who can do something, in some other obscure domain, insanely better than like a chess algorithm.
Okay, but this is Mark Andreessen's argument that there won't be any jobs, but everything, all goods and services will cost 2 cents, so no one will care.
I totally agree. So this is no happy story.
Yeah.
Right. This is the problem with the argument that the Andreessens and others make, is that these things have happened in the past, dating back to the Industrial Revolution or office automation in the 70s or whatever else, and this is their line, is that automation always creates more jobs than it destroys. It always has. But the problem is it's a sample set of 3. We've got 3 times something like this has happened, and they've all been in much smaller circumstances.
1,000%.
Right? And so extrapolating from those 3 examples that happened much slower to a much smaller cohort of people is a huge mistake.
The Industrial Revolution was 120 years.
Yeah. Arguably.
800 million people on the planet.
Right. And it took 30 years to get individuals, even though the society became wealthier during the Industrial Revolution, individuals took 30 years to get back to their prior standard of living.
It was also the largest rising crime in human history.
Right. So
now we're going to do all this in 3 years.
We're going to do it all in 3 years.
With 8 billion people.
Right. So it's incredibly more disruptive, and it's really dangerous, I think, to make the argument that this has always worked out in the past for both of those reasons, that it's a small sample, but it's a small sample set and it's happening much faster. But I think it's still incredibly important to understand the changing distribution, that what's actually happening is much like the disappearance of 400 hitters from baseball. But everything's getting better, but it's getting better in a way that doesn't necessarily imply that the outliers are A, going to exist, or B, anyone will even pay for them if they did.
So the Paul Wes Andersons of the world are going to be out of a job. They're not. No one will give a shit anymore.
I think there will be people who do, but the problem is that everything else is so good. This is why I don't like the AI slop argument, because that's an artifact of how things sort of started off with this fairly crappy introduction of lots of lousy stuff.
Right.
If that were our only problem with AI, that'd be great because, lousy things are easily ignored.
Okay, I have one question to push back on. Okay. The question, if you look at television today, it is mostly garbage. Okay,
But vastly better than it was.
What do you mean?
Gilligan's Island, Rocket's Heroes.
No,
Oh, absolutely.
I think most of the television.
Sitcoms.
Let me
Yeah. Make
let me tell you what Nick was going to say.
Oh, here we go.
Nick is saying,
You know, when I was a little kid, I had a twin sister, and I couldn't speak. And she would be like,
would channel
Nick
for you?
wants a cookie. You're now my new twin
I'm
sister.
the Nick wants a cookie guy.
I want the Urdu version.
Yeah. What Nick is trying to say is there's nothing even remotely close to 30 Rock,
Oh,
The Wire,
The Wire,
Sopranos.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah,
we can stop there, but it's all like
Chinatown.
it's all
Chinatown was not a.
Chinatown was a phenomenal film.
No, wasn't
it is
it-
still
no,
cited
it wasn't
today.
a TV series.
Wasn't a TV series.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just talking about like
okay,
great
but
things.
we can't. You took. I was trying to help you, and then you
Keep
went.
going, keep going,
You
keep
started
going.
moving.
Next thing you know, he's into running shoes. The Vaporfly, man. Those
Yeah.
are great shoes.
Terrible.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like 30 Rock, The Wire. And
Sure,
Nick's
sure.
like,
No.
say those incredible apples in Paris by Cezanne. Hey, stick to the
That's right.
Keep going. Keep going.
stick to the medium here. There's just, and he's right. Those
Yeah.
shows are gone.
Yeah, those shows are gone. But again, it doesn't mean that back to the Full House argument, it doesn't mean that the mean show in general has gotten better, even if the tails have disappeared. So we don't have the Wires and other things that are so obvious, obvious outliers. Now, there's two different things going on. One is this compression, the Gould argument. And the other is I think a lot of these mediums are increasingly exhausted. And it's one of it's people are too easily they can guess what's coming next, and they even play the game of guessing, oh, there's a twist coming here, because they've seen it. The mediums themselves have run into a problem where I already know what's coming next. Like I watch a movie with my daughter, and it'll mostly be this exercise in guessing when the twist comes, they want me to think this is the bad guy, people can't get outside the structure because they have such a large personal training set of what all of these structures look like. And I think that's also a media exhaustion problem, which is why you see these, TikTok 15-minute clip reels of Chinatown or whatever else.
But isn't the media exhaustion model going to just get worse when algorithms are deciding? Because look at what algorithms did with social media. They go for the shit. They go for the thing that's going to stir you up. And
of course, But that's the slop argument, right? You're going to get overwhelmed with all this algorithmic mediocrity, and that's true. But I also think you're going to see an incredible profusion at the other end, which is back to this. We were having this discussion the other day about electronic arts and the trouble in the gaming industry. That even great content is becoming really cheap to produce, to the point that it's no longer economically viable to be a producer of great content in the old ways. And that's the problem the studio system's running into, television's running into, everyone. It's both democratized and flattening.
Right. So there will be, to go back to the 12 screenwriters, there will be such a decent enough amount and quantity of pretty goodish stuff developed by the robots for $1.
Yeah.
That the 12 people, the Paul Thomas Andersons of the world and et al., present company, Nick Bilton included,
I thought you were going to exclude him, but okay.
people who cost $100 million, people will go, you know what?
This is good enough.
I'd rather spend 50 cents to see the thing that costs that they're going to let me watch for 50 cents instead of the thing that I have to pay, $28 for.
And that pressure is going to be just overwhelming. And you saw that. I mean, the Electronic Arts acquisition by Silver Lake is a great example of this. An incredible franchise. You can argue about their missteps and everything else, but fundamentally, it's about the changing economics of the content and media industry. That it's just impossible to make money in the old structure the way you want. And all of these industries, is what you're seeing happen right now in the gaming industry is what's coming next across every form. And not just in movies and TV, but also in other areas. Like imagine you're a legal analyst. You're a firm of legal analysts. And there's all of these companies out there right now that make bank providing legal opinions on lawsuits that are being done, like class action suits and others. They're economic and analytics firms. And they do tremendously. Everything they do is going to be eaten by large language models because it's such a rule-based, obvious area.
Are you going to...
Yeah. So there's an argument out there. There was a there was an article a ways back about, hey, people say AI is going to put radiologists out of a job, but really there are more radiologists are in more demand. I knew this was going to get you, so really
Triggered.
There's
You need
more
a Xanax triggered for this one.
and triggered. Really, there's more need for radiologists than ever because they do more than just look at charts and blah 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 blah. And anyway. I don't need to give you the whole argument. We both read the article. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Let's hear what's your
and that's a common argument, right? Is this idea? Contrary to what you think,
correct. It is a common argument.
Right.
Contrary to what you may think and what we've all heard, this is what's actually happening.
Radiology is the low-hanging fruit of medicine that should immediately be eaten by AI.
Yeah, and if it's not being eaten by AI, your job is not going to be eaten by AI.
And so what that misses is a bunch of things. Most importantly, what it misses is the underlying dynamic of how medicine is changing. That increasingly defensive medicine drives medicine, meaning that if I'm a doctor, I'm a medical practice, I'm trying to protect myself from a future lawsuit. So what do you do to protect yourself from a future lawsuit? I image the living shit out of you.
Right.
And the reason why I image the living shit out of you is so no one can say in future, well, you didn't catch that tumor.
Yeah.
You didn't see
Why didn't
that.
you ask for an X-ray?
Why didn't you ask for a CT scan and everything? So that this defensive medicine driven by liability is driving imaging orders of magnitude.
Okay.
And so at the same time as that's happening, guess who notices that that's happening? Private equity. So private equity's...
I thought you
here
were
we go.
asking for just to guess a name. I was going to be like,
Bob.
yeah, my friend Steve. So private equity's buying...
I'll tell you who noticed it. Oh, private equity. Okay.
So private equity's noticing it. And so they say this is a tremendous growth business. It's driven by defensive medicine. Those pressures are not going to go away. And it's also highly billable. It's easily reimbursed on. And patients love it. My knee hurts. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get an MRI.
Yeah. And then you get the MRI turns great news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or even better from their standpoint, it says, there's something we can operate on.
Yeah, even better news for the
orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
Right. So what the argument that the number of radiologists is going up is just so completely misleading because it doesn't even begin to capture what's going on that's driving it. It has nothing to do with large language models or vision or image analysis. It has to do with the dynamics of a liability-driven U.S. marketplace where people are trying to protect themselves with more imaging, so that gets you out of liability, and the cost of providing imaging is declining just as private equity buys it up. So it's a tremendous growth business. So that's driving up the number of radiologists as an accident. Now, look forward 2 years. What's going to happen? We got to improve the margins in our business.
Yeah.
How do we best improve the margins in our business?
I'll tell you what's bogging us down. It's these radiologists.
These damn radiologists.
Well, it's funny.
Obvious how this is going to play out.
It's like the Andreessens of the world and like all these tech Silicon Valley folks that like talk about they always cite the graphs. I don't know if you've seen these on social media about when ATMs came along and there were more workers that worked in bank, but they always cite the graphs that stop in around 2007, right before all of the jobs vanished.
All of those went off the cliff.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah, and again, without understanding the underlying dynamics, you get into these crazy, like just so stories about it. Because I'll tell the story in a way that favors the argument I want to make, which is that all of these technologies, which isn't to say that like AI is tremendous for radiology in the sense that two of the biggest problems in radiology is there are what are called time of day and day of week effects.
I was just going to say, you're the radio.
You were really?
No, I wasn't saying this is what Paul's going to say.
I'm just laughing that he understands the two biggest problems in radiology.
All right, that's fair.
Look, who knows that?
Well, I've been sitting on those facts.
I don't even know what a tennis ball looks like, and he's like,
I've been sitting on these. You know what? I know of the two biggest problems in most industries. Radiology, first among them.
And the reason why those two problems exist, so time of day and day of week. So you don't ever get an X-ray read on a Friday.
You want to tell him what time of day and day of week is?
Yeah.
Friday afternoons, Monday mornings. Don't ever get your X-rays read all the time. Why? Because people either are tired from the weekend and don't give a shit, or Friday afternoons they're like they're fucking off and they're saying I'm done. And so there's been repeated studies showing that if you actually get your images read at those times, you tend to get much worse results with higher false positives and missed negatives. AI is not like that. There's no time of day. There's no day of week effects. Those things cost people's lives. Those things have caused calamity all through the last 50 years of imaging medicine. All that goes away. So this isn't to say that
it's also can be time of day of week is also, this radiologist would just, found this unexpected and horrifying result. Has to go have a conversation about that.
Right.
Turns out,
false positive.
Yeah. Or it's some horrifying actual result. Next person comes in who's got some, minor thing that turns out to be kind of minor, but maybe there's a little bit of an anomaly. They're like, okay, phew, it's what we thought it was going to be. I mean, there's no, with AI, there's no, hey, the last thing was really bad.
Right. There's no biasing effect.
There's no bias of whatever they looked at in the
because you see that in courthouses.
How tired they are.
Like after lunch, if a judge did or didn't have lunch, it changes the outcomes in terms of all these things exist. So there's like the idea that it's bad is you got to separate it from what's actually going to happen. Having AI in medicine will save in radiology will save lives. It's uniformly a good idea.
I just don't. We have to wind this down in a second, but I just don't buy that AI is going to make better content because it just.
He's like, look, no, I get it with the radiology and the law and the accounting.
Yeah,
this is what's because society wants crap, and I think you have to, and it takes a person to push for a little bit better, and it's that fine line between.
Because people want good diagnoses. It takes a person to read the radiology.
No, I'm not. I just think it's different. I don't know.
That's special, but that's just special bleeding.
Can I ask one question?
Everyone, I mean, look, again, we're picking on Mark Andreesen, or at least we're talking about him a lot in this podcast, but I think I'm going to summarize the quote
from Mark Andreesen.
I'm going to speak from Mark. What Mark would say if he were here.
Yeah. Go ahead. I can't wait.
No, I believe he said something like, it's going to come for a lot of jobs. It's not going to come for venture capital because we have to make these hard decisions that are very
we're creative.
So anyway, everyone said AI for thee, but not for me.
Special pleading, my friend.
All right. So media of the week. Can we end on something good? For this one, because you really depressed me.
It was good.
It was fucking depressing.
Why? There's
the only upside to this was that I know when I go to get my MRI scans to do it on a Wednesday.
Yeah, right.
Midweek. That's right.
Midday.
Midday is actually good. Before lunch, but not at 11 because people tend to get hungry.
Before lunch, but not at 11.
Yeah, like 8 to 10.
Okay, let's do media of the week.
All right, you want to start?
8 to 10 is really? All right.
Yeah, that makes sense because they get in
they're
early.
alert,
They're ready to go. They just had coffee.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 10.
Yeah, that's all you want to do. Other than that, don't do it.
All right.
Media of the week? You want to go?
I just read The Great Gatsby.
Oh, I love The Great Gatsby.
I know. It's just a tremendous book. And the thing that I love about it is that it stands up. It still stands up so well that I have friends who live in the Hamptons, and it's like it could be about these people, and nothing has changed.
It is about those people.
Well, it is about those people. But the point, you feel like it should be like reading 19th century literature, right? Like I'm reading something. It should feel more dated. It doesn't feel dated at all. The same personalities, the same dynamics, the same sort of doom-bound race among people who are trying to position for social status. It's just such a tremendous book. And leaving us, and then I suppose the most important part, he's just a beautiful writer.
Don't worry, he'll be replaced by an AI by the end of the week.
Your favorite?
You're so sad.
Your favorite F. Scott novel or Tender is the Night?
It is my favorite one, but I get the argument for Tender is the Night. I mean, it's so compressed. The idea that he does as much as he does in 160 pages or something like this is remarkable.
Yeah, fair.
I reread it a few months ago too, and I felt the same way. Phenomenal book.
Wait, did I miss that everyone was rereading The Great Gatsby?
Well, I've been reading a lot of old stuff because
I feel like I'm on. There's a text thread I'm not on.
There's a text thread you're not on.
Yeah, all right.
The not dick. Here's what we're reading.
Because I'm gonna once again try to squeeze my argument in here. Because most modern novels are fucking garbage because they're like written for the masses for TikTok book or whatever the fuck it's called, and so. And so I've been reading a lot of old stuff. I actually just reread, didn't reread, I read it for the first time, Day of the Triffids, which is a phenomenal book from 1960s, sci-fi. It was
book.
really, really good. And I was looking for a new book and I couldn't find one. So I went to ChatGPT. I was like, here's a screenshot of my Kindle books. And it was like, you'll like this. And it was right. It knew.
These AI things may work out.
They may work out. Although I was looking for a book on my bookshelf recently and I couldn't find it. So I took a picture and I gave it to ChatGPT and I said, can you find it? It goes, yeah, it's right there on the right. And I was like, where? And then it literally said, I said, can you create it? Can you circle it? And it put the book in the picture that wasn't there. I was like,
and you said they can't be creative.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dick, what's yours?
I'm actually looking at it in your office here. The complete stories of J.G. Ballard. Great, also science fiction writer. Yeah. Just tremendous. There are loads of them in the book.
What's your favorite?
They're fairly short. I never remember the titles. There's the 2001 story about time, and time compression and hundreds of millions of years, and it's very obelisk-esque 2001 story that's really, really well written.
Did you do the cat one?
What?
The cat one? The cat in the village?
Yeah.
What's that one? I forget the title. It's so good. This guy has the model.
Yeah.
He has the model in his safe of the village that he lives in, and he goes out, and then his cat eats all the people.
I haven't read that one, but thanks for ruining it for me.
The cat does what?
Yeah, great. Any other stories in there? I'm like halfway through. You want any of the other ones you want to ruin for me?
Terminal Beach
I haven't
is
read
literally
Terminal. Oh, I did read Terminal Beach.
Terminal Beach is one of the best in the collection. Read that.
The infinite subway through the Metroplex that doesn't seem to ever end, and it's a great one, even though that was sounded like a horror. This is
such a tremendously
basically. Here's a really bad thing to do on a podcast: give inaccurate and vague summaries of short stories that nobody has read. How about that for a closing?
You introduced me to Ballard. Is it Ballard or
Ballard?
Ballard. J.G. Ballard.
J.G. Ballard. He's
right.
the artisanal writer.
He'll be replaced by the end of the day.
No, what I like about reading Ballard now, and 40 years after he wrote most of his stuff, is how this kind of crushing paranoia just feels even more like it's like he kind of looked through a wormhole and saw today and then wrote about it then, because it's like at the time you read it and you're like, how in the world was he worrying about these things right now?
It's actually a great summary of the themes of many of the stories: crushing paranoia and like this encroaching dread.
This constant feeling of dread. Or like one of his greatest books is one where everyone's it's an apartment building.
Right. That. Just read it.
Yeah, and where everyone's over time, it turns into its own society inside the building, and it devolves backwards into a kind of Stone Age society inside of a modern apartment building. Right. And at every step, it feels completely plausible. And by the end, you're like, how in the world did we get here? And it's like, you know what? That's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
And the drowned world, like seeing climate change so far ahead, and
he's tremendous.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, Paul, your media of the week.
He did it already.
Oh,
he did the Great Gatsby.
What was it? Oh, Great Gatsby. Jesus, sorry,
your name again.
Wow.
I'd like to speak to
I want
Dick
to keep
and what
going
he's
around.
trying to say. He wasn't listening.
I want to keep going around.
Let's do another loop.
We have 2 minutes left. I don't have any other good media of the week. Well, this has been another great episode of the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.
Tune in next week for more depressing radiology from Paul Costolo.
You're just jealous.